Peter Parker, everyone's favorite web-slinger, has reached the end of his rope. What will that mean for the world at large, for his friends and family? Well, let's hop into the pages of Spider-Man Life Story issue number 6, the grand finale of this series, and find out. Alright then, so this issue wastes absolutely no time getting started. We're in the year 2019, and this is normally in the video where I would make a bunch of era-specific jokes, but I don't need to, because if you're watching this, we're all living through it. A lot's happened since the end of the superhero civil war. A lot of the heroes either died or went missing, which means that Spider-Man ended up the de facto leader of a resistance group against Dr. Doom, who used the chaos to come on in and establish an iron-fisted rule. Today, though, old man Peter Parker and his protege Miles Morales think they may finally be able to turn the tide of battle against Dr. Doom by sneaking aboard one of his space stations and disabling all of his tech from the inside out. Miles, it would seem, is actually taking this whole situation incredibly seriously, even going out of his way to no-sell a lot of Peter's hilarious jokes and pop culture references. Peter, in his internal monologue, talks about how thankful he is that in his later years he can actually help out the younger heroes find their footing, and that the kids today are so smart and so much more together than he was at their age. It's amazing. We also get a look at the modern era Spider-Man suit. It is mostly a spacesuit on top of everything else, but I like the spacing on all of the design work. Miles and Peter discover that they're not alone on the ship, because they come under attack by the Venom suit wearing Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, I bet you thought they forgot about this little story point, didn't ya? Miles fights valiantly against Sergei Kravinoff, saying that all of Spider-Man's foes are dead and that this isn't going to end much different for him. Peter also shows that he's learned a couple things in the future about planning ahead, and in case he ever fought a symbiote again, he was sure to come complete with a sonic device to deal with just this. In a way, this was a mercy. The real Kraven died decades ago, and what was left was nothing but a bunch of hatred and old bones. But you know what? He's not the only one holding grudges, as we find out. Miles isn't actually Miles. He's actually Dr. Octopus, who has stolen his mind and is piloting his body much like he did to Peter in the Superior Spider-Man. Otto says that this was all part of a master plan of his, that his mind was let free when Dr. Doom had taken over, and that Otto had intended to steal Peter's body, but, well, he's the old busted and Miles is the new hotness, so the decision was obvious. Now, Ock plans to kill his most hated foe, Peter Parker, and save the day from Dr. Doom, proving that he is the superior hero. Peter can't have that and opts to keep Otto talking. A physical fight is a dumb idea. Miles' body is a lot younger and comes equipped with new powers that Peter doesn't have, but a battle on the mindscape is something Peter could totally win. Ock comes into the fight strong with hallucinations of Spider-Man's greatest foes, but Spider-Man fires back with a bunch of different versions of himself in other costumes. It's an epic battle for the ages, but in the end it's not actually Peter who tips the scale in this one. What saves him? Well, who always saves him though? Aunt May, or her memory at least. She reads her former lover the riot act, saying that as much as Doc Ock calls Peter a stunted man-child, in the end it's all this hate that has stopped him from moving on in any meaningful way. Now he's even dragged poor innocent Miles into his vendetta, and for what reason? None of it's ever gonna bring May back or make her love him, and let's face it, that's what he was always angry about, right? And once he comes to terms with that, Ock is vanquished. May also takes this opportunity to have a one-on-one with her nephew one last time, saying that, you know what, in his own way, Peter was always trying to save Uncle Ben, and when he couldn't do it, he tried to save everyone else. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it hurt himself and his family, but now, on this day, he actually does have the opportunity to save everyone. And Spider-Man plans to do just that, starting with Miles. He needs to get him into the one escape pod and send him back to Earth, after getting Otto's word, of course, that he'll undo the body swap. This means that as his final moments tick down, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, superhero, father, friend, defender of Earth, watches on, with thoughts of his beloved partner Mary Jane swirling in his head as the space station he was standing on ends up self-destructing. Peter finally paying the ultimate price for ultimate responsibility, and he wouldn't have it any other way. And later on, back on Earth, while there is much mourning, there's also much celebration. Mary Jane figures because Miles already has the name, he might as well take up the actual costume too. And it's on that note there, with the Spider-Man legacy secured, the comic comes to a close. And so that was Spider-Man Life Story issue number 6, a grand conclusion to what ended up being probably the best miniseries of the year, and yet maybe not my favorite issue of this series. Unlike the previous issues, they actually don't do very much with the modern setting, which, I mean, I guess makes sense. There's less fun stuff to draw upon when, well, yeah, we're all living here. The one or two big twists we do get on Superior Spider-Man, which I guess when we break it down is the biggest, most impactful modern-day Spider-Man story, were indeed pretty inspired. Zdarsky writes Spider-Man a suitably epic, suitably sad, suitably heroic final moment. And moreover than that, the book actually seeks to imply what an actual afterlife could potentially be for Peter, what his ultimate reward would be in the grander scheme of things, and I think it might actually surprise everyone. In conclusion, Life Story as a whole gets a perfect 10. It's an absolute must-read for any fan of Spider-Man, and even a person who might be a lax Spider-Man fan I'm sure would really enjoy this. This issue, though, maybe only gets a 9.5 out of 10. I might have liked to have spent a little more time with Spider-Man's kids and see how they felt about the Spider-Man legacy, but really that's a minor complaint in the grander scheme of things. Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.